Squelching and slithering, our heroes finally made it out of the swamp into a boulder-filled field. "Oh, yuck!" exclaimed Flora. "That was disgusting. I feel filthy." "You're all spotty," pointed Cora. "So are you," pointed Flora. They removed the bandanas from their faces and looked at each other. The myriad of insects in the swamp had chomped on every piece of uncovered flesh they could find, and the explorers were covered in itchy red bites. Trying not to scratch, they made their way onto the boulder field. Cora sat down on a rock to adjust her shoes, which were covered in sticky black mud. "This is horrible. We've traversed that terrible bridge, slugged away through a swamp, ended up in a field of boulders. The jungle at the end of the field looks impossible to get through, and I don't know where we're going next." "Let me get the manuscript out," said Flora. "Maybe it will give us a clue." So she sat down on another rock and got the precious manuscript out of her backpack. "So far, we found out that the king of the jungle is not the snake, no matter what he says. The eagle told us to have courage, and that the king is holy and merciful, and the chameleon showed us you can be two things at once, such as a servant and a king, and that we would meet someone here who knows the king, but I can't see anybody." "Oh, that's because you're sitting on me," said a deep, rumbly voice. Flora jumped up and turned round quickly. "Hello? How are you talking to me, rock?" The rock turned its head round, and they could see that the boulder Flora had sat on was really a leg, and that the pile of rocks behind it now had ears and a trunk was actually an elephant lying on the ground. "How do you do?" said the elephant slowly. "Nice to have visitors, even if you are just passing through." Cora stood up, and her head just about came level with the elephant's eye. "How do you do?" replied Cora politely. "Do go on reading," said the elephant. "I love hearing the next bit, how the king is gentle and lord." "Do you know the king?" asked Flora excitedly. "Yes, he's so powerful. He made everything, and yet he cares for us and our problems. I know the king in the temple. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. He knows you're feeling tired and itchy. You know, to combat the itchiness, I like to cover myself in mud. Perhaps you could try that." "No, thanks," replied Flora. "I've had enough mud for now." "How do we get to him?" asked Cora. "I can't see how we can get through this jungle." "Well, I got through the jungle to get to the temple, but then I eat trees. I don't quite think you're made for that," said the elephant politely. "No. Any other ideas?" "Well, the king is the one who brings comfort, and you look like you could do with a bit of TLC," said the elephant. "So why don't you go by the hot springs and have a bath?" "Oh, that sounds great," said Flora. "Is it on the way?" said Cora. "As I don't want to get sidetracked." She gave Flora a hard stare. "Oh yes," the elephant waved with her trunk. "It's through there." They looked to where the elephant was pointing. At the end of the field, there appeared to be a path, but was littered with boulders blocking the way from a recent rockfall. "Oh, bother, no way through there," said Flora. "Could you climb over?" asked the pachyderm, tiptoeing the end of her trunk up a rock. "No, it's too steep." "So much for strength to the weary. We'll just have to find another way," said Cora. "Nonsense. What you need is a big friend." And saying that, the great big elephant started to gently lift the boulders to one side with her powerful trunk. "She's clearing the path!" shouted Flora, over the sound of rocks rolling to and fro as the elephant moved them about. Soon the friends could see that there was a narrow path that led from the field of boulders, and a glint of water in the distance. "Oh, thank you, elephant," they said together. "It's obvious you do know the king, because you are great and gentle too." They patted the elephant in thanks and made their way to the narrow path. "Well, I can't get that way, but you can. You're on your way to the temple where the king of the jungle lives. Don't get sidetracked. Send him my love." The elephant waved back over her head in farewell as the two explorers made their way down the rocky path. the sound of rushing water growing louder and louder. As they came out from under the cliff, before them was a deep pool with waterfalls splashing into it, refreshing and inviting. "That is it," said Flora, taking off her backpack and muddy clothes. "I am having a bath." They laid their muddy things in a small pool where the water flowed over them and washed the swamp mud away, and then hung them on bushes to dry. Laying back in the pools, they heard the sounds of birdsong overhead, and tipping back their heads let the sun shine on their faces. The grime and tension washed away, and they were almost asleep in the shallows when Cora saw something through the trees with narrowed eyes. "We need to find somewhere to sleep for the night," yawned Flora. "Can you see what I see?" asked Cora, lying back in the pool. "What? Tree house or something over there?" She pointed up the canopy, where you could just make out what appeared to be a huge tree house, a ladder leading up into the branches. "Perhaps we could rest there," said Flora. "I am rather tired and could do with a sleep." "Well, let's see." Excitedly, the two friends splashed to the shore, gathered up their things and made their way towards the treetop house. They very carefully climbed the ladder, aware of the drop beneath them. Inside, the treehouse was clean and dry, and there were 2 comfy-looking beds. "That's it. I'm ready for a kip." Flora dropped a bag, threw a hat on the floor, and sank down onto the bed. Cora was not far behind her, but just as she was dropping off, she saw a flash of blue and red by the window. What that is? Oh, we'll find out tomorrow.